Assalamualaikum Dr. Fairah. My name is Pujaranya binti Muhammad 70666. This case involved a business dispute between Ketapang Trading, a Malaysian electronics reseller, and Jembals Nurul Berhad, a Penang-based semiconductor manufacturer. The disagreement happened during a major supply deal under the Malaysia EV Revolution 2030 project. The contract broke down due to monsoon delays, unclear contract terms, and process related to issues of the legal outcomes. On solving the problem, we will use the issue, law application and conclusion ILAC method to figure out what happened. Finding legal problems, look at the applicable laws and principle of Malaysian business law, and using this to the case circumstances to figure out possible legal outcomes and viable remedies. The issue here is whether Jembal's Memorandum of Understanding or MOU was a valid acceptance of Ketapang's offer, or actually a counter offer. According to Section 7A of the Contracts Act 1950, for an acceptance to be valid, it must be absolute and unconditional. If the party tries to change the terms of the offer, it's no longer an acceptance, it becomes a counter offer. This is also supported by the famous case Hyde v. Ranch, where it was ruled that a counter offer cancels the original offer completely. What Jembal did, look at what actually happened. Ketapang signed a request for proposal with specific terms like price and delivery. But Jembal replied with a memorandum of understanding that increased the price by 10% and changed the delivery schedule. This means Jembal did not fully accept the original offer. They changed it, so under Section 7A, this is clearly a counter offer. Because Jembal's response was a counter offer, the original offer from Ketapang is automatically cancelled as stated in Hyde v. Ranch. And since there was no agreement on the exact same terms, there was no meeting of mind, which is a key element for a contract to be valid. In conclusion, Jembal's MOU was a counter-offer, not a valid acceptance. Therefore, no binding contract was formed between the parties at this stage.
Alright, now I'll be explaining the legal issue of capacity in the contract between Ketapang Trading and Jembals Nurul Berhad. In this case, the contract was signed by Ketapang's Regional Operations Director, but according to the company's internal rules, he had no authority to sign contracts worth more than RM 30 million without board approval. The contract in question was worth RM 150 million. So, the key legal issue is whether the person who had signed the contract had the legal capacity to bind the company or not. Now, under Section 10 and Section 11 of the Contracts Act 1950, contract must be made by parties who are competent. For individuals, this means being of legal of age and sound mind. But when it comes to companies, capacity depends on whether the person acting had the proper authority or not. There are two types of authority in law, which are actual authority and apparent authority. Actual authority means that the person was formally given permission either by the board or company constitution. In our case, the director did not have the actual authority. However, apparent authority happens when a person seems to have authority based on the company's conduct, even if they weren't officially given that power. This concept is supported by the case Freeman and Lockyer vs. Parkhurst Park Properties and was applied in Malaysia in Chong Engineering Works against Jasa Peramai. So here, Ketapang allowed the director to sign the contract in a public ceremony with meaty officials present and gave no warning to Jembal about any internal restrictions. So from Jembal's point of view, the director clearly appeared to be authorized. This creates apparent authority, and under the law, Ketapang can be legally bound by the contract. Further, Section 21 Subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2016 confirmed that the company has a full legal capacity to act like natural persons unless the third party had actual knowledge of internal limitations, which Jembal clearly did not. So, even though Ketapang's director breached internal rules, Jembal acted in good faith and relied on what looked like valid authority. Therefore, under Malaysian contract law, the contract is still valid and enforceable. If for some reason the contract is declared void, Section 66 of the Contracts Act will apply, requiring any benefits received to be returned. In conclusion, Ketapang cannot escape liability by claiming internal missteps, and the company is most likely legally bound by the contract signed.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Zaim Azizi bin Muhammad Saleh. My metric number is S70581 and today I would like to present on the analysis of legal issue. So my title for the issue is duress or consent. The issue is Ketapang Trading Sdn Bhd received an anonymous email that contained personal information threatening the CEO. If the CEO did not comply on the terms, the information will spread in Malaysia. So for the law that may applicable on this issue is this action corresponding on the Malaysian business law, which is Contract Act 1950 and the Penal Code. We can use the example case for this action by Allied Granite by Marble Industries Sdn Bhd v Chin Fong Holdings Sdn Bhd and ORS 2005 CLJ 71 and the Power On vs Lau Yu Long 1980s AC 614. So the law the application on law is under the Malaysian law. This case can be applied with Contract Act 1950 Section 10 1. What agreement is contract? Contract Act 1950 Section 14 free consent. Contract Act 1950 Section 15 coercion. Contract Act 1950 Section 16 undue influence. Contract Act 1950 Section 19 voidability of agreement without free consent, and lastly Penal Code Section 503 criminal intimidation. So for the conclusion, the action of the anonymous email has led to much discomfort on Ketapang Trading Sdn Bhd on the contract agreement. The aggression of blackmailing an important person may cause the business to collapse.
So I will represent about misrepresentation. In paragraph 7, in the question, said that during contract negotiations at the famous Traders Hotel overlooking the Petronas Twin Towers, Jembal Sdn Bhd had provided technical specifications claiming their components could withstand Malaysia's tropical humidity conditions and temperature ranging from -40 degrees Celsius to 125 degrees Celsius, a critical requirement requested by Ketapang Trading Co. Internal documents later revealed that Jembal's component had only been tested to -20 degrees Celsius to 101 degrees Celsius at their Penang facility. There was no record and documentation whatsoever supporting the claim -40 degrees Celsius to 125 degrees Celsius operational range. A handwritten note on the test reports, apparently written by a junior engineer, raised concern about the reliability of the testing equipment itself and suggested that further testing was postponed due to budget constraint and pressure to meet the Ketapang's deadline. So we'll discuss the legal issue of misrepresentation under the Contracts Act 1950 using the case of Jembal Sdn Bhd and Ketapang Trading Co. So for the first issue, the issue is whether Jembal made a misleading claim that their components could withstand temperatures from -40 degrees Celsius to 125 degrees Celsius, which influenced Ketapang's decision to enter a RM150 million supply contract under the Malaysian EV Revolution 2030 project. For the second method, law, under Section 18 of the Contracts Act, misrepresentation can occur even without intent to deceive, as long as it's a false statement of fact, not merely an opinion made to the misled party and it induced the contract. So, if misrepresentation is proven, the innocent party may rescind the contract under Section 19 bracket 2 and recover any benefit under Section 65 and 66 without compensation allowed under Section 37 of the Specific Relief Act. And for the application, in this case, Jembal claimed their components could handle a wide temperature range, but internal records reveal testing only covered -20 Celsius to 101 Celsius, with no evidence for the broader range. This was not just silence, it was a false factual claim. A junior engineer even noted concerns about incomplete testing and budget limits. Despite no intent to deceive, Jembal's failure to verify and disclose key information falls under negligent misrepresentation. Ketapang clearly relied on this data to sign the contract, satisfying all four legal elements. So, for the conclusion part, Jembal Sdn Bhd is legally liable for misrepresentation under Section 18. Ketapang may rescind the contract, reclaim benefits, and seek compensation under Section 19 bracket 2, 65, 66 Contract Act 1950 and Section 37.
So for remedies for breach, let me begin with the issue in this case. Jembal Sdn Bhd did not deliver 50,000 microprocessor to Ketapang Trading Co.
Because of this, Ketapang lost a RM25 million contract and had to pay 7.9 million in penalties, and its business reputation was affected. So the question is, can Ketapang claim compensation under Contract Act 1950, and what kind of remedy they can ask for? So now let's look at the law. Under Section 40 of the Contract Act 1950, if one party doesn't do what was agreed in the contract, it is a breach. Section 74 says the injured party can claim losses that happen naturally from the breach, or losses both sides could expect when the contract was met. There are two types of damages. The first one is general damages, and general damages is for direct loss, and the second type is special damages. Special damages is for biggest losses that must be proven. Section 75 allow liquidated damages if both parties agree on a fair amount in the contract. Also, the innocent party must try to reduce their loss. And based on the case of Hadley v. Bezendel, only losses that were expected at the time of the contract can be claimed. Now let's apply the law to this case. Jembal clearly breached the contract because it failed to deliver the good. Ketapang lost 7.9 million. This is a direct result of the breach, so they can claim general damages. They also lost a RM25 million contract. If they can show Jembal knew how important and urgent the delivery was, they may claim this as special damages. If the RM7.9 million was written in the contract, it may count as liquidated damages as long as the amount is fair and not just a penalty. Ketapang also acted reasonably by not accepting more deliveries after the breach. This shows they tried to reduce their losses. Because the goods were normal commercial items, other remedies like specific performance are not suitable here. To conclude, Jembal broke the contract. Ketapang can claim 7.9 million as general damages. They may also claim the RM25 million loss if they can prove it was expected by both sides. If the RM7.9 million was agreed earlier in the contract and it's fair, it can be claimed as liquidated damages. Because this is a business deal, the best solution is for Ketapang to receive compensation in money.
For the conclusion, we received that both of the company having procedural irregularities. Contract was signed by Ketapang Regional Corporation Director without proper company authority. The director lacked legal power to authorize an agreement over 30 million ringgit. And for the validity of the content, the contract legitimacy is questioned due to lack formal board approve, and an anonymous threatening email created uncertainty and fear in Ketapang CEO, affecting the perceived validity. And next is unclear memorandum of understanding. The MOU from Jembal lacked clarity, uncertain if it was an offer or acceptance, and this complicated the contract formation process. And after that, the legal implication. The procedural and documentation issue may impact the enforceability of the contract under Malaysian business law. This highlights the importance of internal governance and compliance in contract execution. And lastly, key takeaway. The case shows the importance of following proper corporate procedures and ensuring transparency to prevent legal dispute and uphold contractual integrity.